All right, the informant back in the building. So before we jump into Spelman College history, we're going to take a quick look at their logo slash seal. Now, if you pay attention to this seal, it looks very similar to the Masonic seal. And it also looks very similar to the Order of the Eastern Star seal, to be specific, right? Which is a Masonic affiliated fraternal order organization, just like Spelman is all female, right? So it's kind of making sense already. Now, if you look at both of these seals side to side, they're giving the same type of expression. Even though it's different logos saying different things, you could just look at this at a distance and could tell that this is representing almost the same thing. Now, let's jump into some of the history of Spelman College, right? Because a lot of people jump to go sign up to these HBCUs because it's quote unquote a historically black college, but don't even understand how these colleges were established in the first place. Now, for Spelman, this college was founded by Laura Spelman Rockefeller, which is John D. Rockefeller's wife. Now, I'm sure you've heard the Rockefeller family is one of the richest families, if not the richest family in the world currently, right now, right? Now, if you think about it, why would this family want to own a historically black university? Just think about that. Now, let's look at the architecture of Spelman College itself, right? It looks very similar to a Masonic temple. It looks just like a bigger version of a Masonic temple. If you've seen a Masonic temple, it's the same color scheme, the same shape, and we already talked about the seals. The seals look very similar to the Eastern Star seal, the Masonic temple seal. Why does Spelman College have a seal that looks very similar to Masonic orders? Now, let's take a brief look at Spelman's sorority, right? I've seen them do their ceremonies before, but I think this stuff absolutely looks like super ritualistic, right? Even in the comments, if you scroll down the comments of this video right here, people are saying the same thing. It doesn't sound right, it doesn't look right. And I'm gonna let you guys listen to this briefly.
Lucy Dixlow, Miss Lillian Hurt, Miss Lavinia Norman, Miss Marjorie Hill, Miss Margaret Black Holmes, Miss Marie Wilco Taylor.
Now that sounds crazy, right? I don't know what it's for. I don't know who they studied. I don't know who their teachers are. But these women are very dedicated to whatever they're doing. But something tells me they have little knowledge of what they're actually doing and enchanting onto themselves. Now let's get back to Spelman College, right? It was always said whoever sponsors you control you. So I'm going to ask that question again. Why would the Rockefeller family want to invest into HBCUs? Now, in my own opinion, I would say for indoctrination, because we all know there are similarities between the school settings and prison settings, right? And when you're in prison, they call you institutionalized. When you're in the free world going to college, you're quote unquote learning, right? But college is an institution itself. It's basically telling you how to think, which is another form of being institutionalized. And this is what the movie They Live was all about. Now, remember the newspaper stand scene, or when he was looking up at the billboards, it was saying, consume, don't think. Things that was basically diminishing your free mindset. Now, I'm not going off subject at all, but this is why when certain people donate their money into certain institutions is for them to have control over certain things. Because best believe people don't donate their money just out of the kindness of their heart. Now, back to these sororities and these fraternities. These people are so proud and representing their sororities and their fraternities without having a real clue. Maybe some of them actually know what they're representing and they want to follow that path, but I feel like a majority of people that join these sororities, they are being given limited information as to what they're really worshiping. Because if you look at them march And their ceremonies, it looks like they're worshiping something, almost like they're possessed by something, an entity. Now, how they get people to keep joining these sororities is by propping people up, like maybe Kamala Harris, that basically is telling the young people that's in these sororities, hey, if you join the sorority, you might could be as successful as me. And that's where it starts to look like a Ponzi scheme. Because just like any Ponzi scheme, only a few people make it to the top, right? And we've all been in traffic before and see people with their license plate or the emblem around their license plate saying a certain fraternity or a sorority. And it's just like, if you're a part of that sorority, why wouldn't they pull you up? And this is exactly why these fraternities and sororities doesn't make sense to me. You give your all, you give your spirit, you give your energy, and you invoke certain things on yourself that you don't understand. Like, I don't understand why people are flocking to these HBCUs when no one really understands who's funding these people. Who's funding these colleges? Where's the money coming from? Because best believe if HBCUs was being ran and being funded by people from the urban community, those schools would be shut down because these colleges are just a business, right? A lot of people are going into a lot of debt. These schools are making so much money off of these students that's unsure of the career choice that they thought they wanted to chase. But then after they get out of school and rack up that debt, guess what? They're just sitting with that, and that debt doesn't go away, and it builds interest. That's a different story. But what I'm saying is HBCUs are business models being ran by certain individuals that is not from the urban culture. Now that makes me think, how many people do their research enough to see who funded this school, who started the school, who's this school named after? Spelman College. And whenever you see colleges that's historically black universities being advertised on radio, best believe there's a big network that works together to make sure these people are signing up to these HBCUs. And if it was an actual real HBCU, it would not be on mainstream radio or mainstream television. And that's why it's dressed up so friendly to bring these customers in, because these students are customers to these universities. The Informant, I'm out.